let's all agree that a challenge is not very friendly and it is very painful because when it hits, you'll even forget how it feels to have a great smile. Because when it hits, it demands immediate reaction and some kind of an adjustment, which we were never even prepared for. Now that's the painful part of a challenge. But look, while the challenge can be that painful, at the same time, a challenge can be beneficial in the sense that it gives us an opportunity to be creative and innovative. Like today, I'm going to talk to you about one of the products that got developed out of a challenge, and that product is called the Lightboard. So this is the product that got developed out of a challenge. Now, please know that I didn't come up with a name and I was not involved in the development of this product. I just happened to love the product and hence I'm talking about it. So let's look at what exactly is a Lightboard. A Lightboard happens to be a very special piece of glass that has got some LED strips wired around it. Now this LED strips is just flooding enough light in the glass such that anything that I write on the glass just glows and glows very beautiful. Now you guys can ask and say, what if there's no light in the glass? What happens? Now check this out. Now this is what happened. As soon as I take off the light from the glass, all the makeup on my beautiful writings disappear. So my writings are no longer beautiful. They are no longer glowing. But as soon as I bring back the light in the glass, we are back in business. My writings are glowing and they are glowing very beautiful. That's the effect of light. But that's not the only effect. You see where I'm standing right now? I'm in the dark area here. Now this dark area is made possible by this black sheet that is behind me here. So because I'm in the dark and my writings are glowing in the dark, they are glowing even more brighter since I am in the dark. Now, you guys can ask and say, but why are your writings just floating and what's happening? Well, guys, you remember I told you that this glass is a very special type of a glass? Now, this glass was made with a very low iron type of a material that makes this glass to be very, very transparent to the camera. So the camera is not able to capture the glass. It's able to capture anything in front of it except the glass. Therefore, what the camera sees is me in the dark and my beautiful writings that looks like they're floating in front of me in the dark. And looks like they're floating in space. So that's all about this specific Lightboard. That's how it is constructed. Now, there are two types of glasses that I know of that you guys can always go out there if you want to construct your own Lightboard and buy them and then create your Lightboards. The two types of glasses I know of is plexiglass and starfire. So these are the two types of glasses that I know of that you guys can go out there, buy and create your own Lightboard. If you get stuck, please shout. Anyway, let me show you exactly how I've set up mine. Just hold on. This is how I've set up my Lightboard. As you guys can see, this is a very simple and straightforward setup. But I'm going to explain to you exactly how does everything fit together. Now let's start. This portion here, this portion, represents this black sheet that is behind me here to create this dark area where I am standing. Now the next thing is Mr. Yellowbone here. Mr. Yellowbone here represents me. For today only, I am a Yellowbone. Now the next, guys, I'm not a Yellowbone, I'm just joking. The next thing that is represented inside this cycle is this Lightboard. Now the Lightboard here is represented by two things. It's a frame and a glass. So the frame here is this blue rectangular type of a thing. And the yellow rectangular thing represents the glass. So between the frame and the glass, there's a LED string that is wired around the glass, which in this diagram is represented by this dotted pinkish thread. So the LED string will just flood enough light in the glass such that anything that I write on the glass glows and glows very beautiful. That's the purpose of an LED string. Now the next thing is a camera. So the camera here captures everything or anything that is in front of it, except the glass. So the camera is unable to capture the glass because the glass is just super transparent. The only thing that the camera is able to capture is me in the dark and my beautiful writings that looks like they are floating in space because, hey, they are just floating in the dark in front of me. That's all what the camera is able to capture. And yeah, that's all, guys. Now that you guys understand exactly what a lightboard is, let's look at the challenges that made this lightboard to be developed. So those challenges are sitting in the classroom, courtesy of the chalkboard and the whiteboard. So you guys know very well that as a teacher or a lecturer, when I am teaching, I am essentially standing in front of the students. At the same time, I'm in front of the chalkboard. Now, because I'm standing in front of the chalkboard, I'm essentially obstructing the view of a whole lot of things that are written on the chalkboard for students to be able to see. So the students will not be able to see many things on the chalkboard because I've obstructed their view. Now that is the first issue. The second issue is the fact that as a teacher, again, or a lecturer, most of the time I have to go to the chalkboard and do my writings. Now, every time I go to the chalkboard and do my writings, there is a disconnect that gets created. Now, depending on the length of whatever it is that I'm writing on the chalkboard, that disconnect can be prolonged and even led to a total loss of focus and concentration on students. Now, that can lead to a complete waste of time that was allocated for that specific period because, hey, how can you be in a class where there's no concentration and focus from students, where there is disconnection, where there is no engagement? It just cannot be. So those are the two issues that are presented to us by the chalkboard and the whiteboard. Now you guys should be in a position to ask and say, all right, so how does the lightboard then help us? Now you guys have been watching me all the time talking, doing all the gestures, talking a lot of nonsense, and so there was not even an instance in time where you guys felt like you have been obstructed from anything. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no obstruction of anything here. So there's no obstruction. Obstruction is gone, out. We don't have obstruction anymore. Now the next thing is that disconnect that we have. Now that disconnect is in fact the very big thing because we don't want students to lose focus and maybe the students end up falling asleep. Because guys, to be honest with you, if there's a disconnect and disengagement in the classroom, if people can end up losing focus and concentration, some might even end up sleeping. With a lightboard, there's no time for me, or there's not even a single reason for me to go to the chalkboard and write anything there. My chalkboard is here in front of me. There's no need for me to turn my back on students. Therefore, there's no way that I can create a disconnect. There's a complete engagement, a complete interaction between me and the students. And because of that, me and students are working together. And because we are working together, none of us can be able to make a mistake without the other one seeing it. Let's take this example. Assume I have this example, 2x plus x equal to 6. 3x equal to 6, x equal to 6 over 3, and therefore x equal to 2. So you see, this is a very simple example, a very simple exercise that you and I are doing it together. You and I are doing it together, even though it's me who's writing this, but you guys are watching it. You guys are watching me. You are looking at it. Whatever mistake I make here, you guys will on the spot identify that specific mistakes, and then we can be able to correct it on time. Like here, for example, I've just made a mistake here, but I'm sure that you guys were also able to see it and you could have identified it on the spot. Now, imagine I have another exercise similar to this, but with about 10, 15, 20 steps that I have to go through to get to the answer. And I'm doing that exercise on the chalkboard or on the whiteboard. I will be stuck on the whiteboard doing all these things alone there. And chances are I might make a couple of mistakes in the process leading to the answer. And then by the time I'm done coming back to you and explaining to you exactly how that was done and what, I might have made some mistakes that I didn't see, and eventually I might end up teaching you some wrong stuff. So now with the Lightboard, every time I make a mistake, you guys will be able to see it because, hey, we are working together here. There's a complete engagement between us. Whatever mistakes I do here, you guys will be able to identify it right there on the spot. And then we do the right thing until we get to the correct answer. See the benefits of the Lightboard. So without pouring more spices on an already spiced session, let me take this time to hope that you guys have found this video informative, and I would like to thank you for viewing and hope to see you again in the next sessions. Thank you very much.